No. The bored human at the window barely looked up from her pad, only now acknowledging the person in front of her.
Her name is Lauren Meltin.
She sighed, clearly annoyed.
Missing persons cases are to be sent to the local station authorities. No, you don't understand. She's not missing, she's gone.
Throughout all this, Shimmer had gotten much better at reading human facial expressions. The civil servant was bored and annoyed. They had to be careful. One more snarky answer from her, and she was going to close the window, and they would not be able to tell the embassy what happened to her. Shimmer tried another tack.
I'm terribly sorry. There must be an error with my translator. You know how they are with complex languages full of nuance like yours. Lauren Meltin was a human I hired onto my ship, the Starleaf, as an engineer second class. She was tinkering with the flash warp engines. When she was finished and we warped, not only did we move through space nearly 5,000 times faster than we expected, but she disappeared.
Shimmer breathed in shakily. This part was always the hardest to admit.
And I'm seemingly the only one who remembers her.
The woman behind the counter looked out at Shimmer more closely and narrowed her eyes. Shimmer saw her reach under the desk. To close the window, no doubt, they thought with despair, when instead a door opened. The woman gestured.
This way, please, sapient.
The room Shimmer was seated in was white. The walls were white. The ceiling was uniformly lit in white light. The floor was a slightly different shade of white. They sat upon a white chair that, to Shimmer's surprise, was actually built to their body plan, so it was actually comfortable. After a moment, a human entered the room, dressed almost entirely in black. The contrast of the human in the room made them look like they had no color. Sitting in a chair opposite Shimmer, they looked at them for a moment, and then took out a thick pad. From now on, this conversation is being recorded in full sensorium. All known and recordable senses are being recorded in this conversation, so that in the future it can be replayed as completely as possible. State your consent.
I consent.
The human relaxed slightly. State your legal name.
I am,
Shimmer made a sound with a trilling, rising melody.
But my name in Balanic is Shimmering Heat.
Please describe what happened to Lauren as best as you can. Shimmer took the next demi-cycle and explained to the human what they saw and what happened. The human had them stop multiple times for more detail, or to explain a part again. Eventually, they reached the end of the story as far as Shimmer knew it. So, you hired Lauren?
Yes, I was the one who signed her on.
Do you remember her hind number, her human identification designation? All humans who left the systems they controlled were issued one. Shimmer had not been asked this before.
7757890, I think.
The human made an entry into his pad. It chirruped at him, and he narrowed his eyes and swiped a few times, reading. He sighed and looked up at Shimmer. A sapient known in Balamic as Shimmering Heat. What you are about to learn is designated as secret, not to be shared. This means that if we learn that someone else knows it, we will assume you spoke it, even if you didn't, and you will suffer consequences for this data breach. At this point, you may refuse consent. This conversation will end, and you are free to leave without learning what I am about to say. What say you? Shimmer's eye membranes flicked. Unconsciously, they turned their heads slightly, an old instinct to try to get a better look at something in front of them.
I can't sleep at night. I keep seeing her. I know she was real. I know she existed. Nobody else does. I feel like I'm losing my grip on reality.
Their feathers ruffled and then settled down.
I consent. I will keep your secret.
The human smiled a small, cryptic smile, folded their pad and put it away. He made a complex gesture into the air and the room changed. The even white light was replaced with the sharp but directed light of an office. The white walls became tan, and even art appeared on the walls. He stood and held out his hand. My name is Agent Victor Henrik, Human Interdimensional Authority. I'm with HFY. Shimmer took his hand. Agent Victor squeezed it gently, and they stood. All of the sapients within the coalition had their own forms of government and agencies and ministries within, but few had as many as granular as the humans. Shimmer didn't know HFY, but had no problem believing they were a real human authority.
Nice to meet you, Agent Henrik.
Let's go to my office. We can talk there. Victor led Shimmer further into the offices, until they reached a door at the end of a long hall. When Victor opened the door for Shimmer, they gasped, and their feathers puffed automatically. Agent Henrik had a window.
You have a window?
Shimmer didn't even try to hide their surprise. Victor beamed. I do. It was completely by luck. This was just the office I was assigned. The pride in his voice was clear, even to Shimmer. I have the only window in the whole embassy. Even the human ambassador doesn't have one. Once Shimmer entered the office, they could see why the ambassador didn't take the room from Victor. It was cramped. Shimmer shuffled past boxes and sat on the only chair opposite Victor's desk. He also shuffled in sideways and sat down. Sorry about the tight quarters.
It's all right. My quarters on Starleaf aren't much larger.
Shimmer lied. Okay, so Lauren, Victor said, taking his pad out again. This time he clicked it into a spot on his desk, and a semi-transparent screen sprang into existence between them. He gestured with his hand, and it moved conveniently to the side.
Agent Henrik, am I going insane? Did Lauren exist?
Yes, she was real. He tapped at his pad, and Lauren's face appeared with some text, written in the human's angular script. Shimmer gasped in recognition. She died 12 years ago in a ground car accident, according to a local police report.
She what?
Shimmer's voice was an unbelieving whisper. Victor held up his hands. That's how she died now. You are also correct that she was an engineer second class on Starleaf.
I don't understand.
Victor sighed and dismissed the screen. Shimmer, Lauren accidentally edited herself out of reality. Shimmer's eye membranes flicked. Victor raised his eyebrow but continued. It's not, the first time we came across this. She was messing with your flash warp engine, right? Shimmer nodded. And you were the last one to speak to her before you warped. Shimmer nodded again. That's why you remember her and no one else does. We're not sure about the science behind it. Everyone who is experimenting with it gets edited out of reality. But there's something, unusual about flash warp technology. We don't use it, but since humans sign on with coalition ships all the time, and humans are, well, human about things, humans have tinkered with it. He moved his shoulders in a shrug. I have to say, though, Lauren's work was the first successful mod to a flash warp field I've seen. Most of the others either did nothing, or destroyed the drive taking the ship with it. No matter the success or failure of the work, every human that tinkered with the drive disappeared after the drive was activated. And every time, the last person to talk to them before the activation is the only one who remembers them.
Why?
Victor snorted a laugh. If I knew that, I wouldn't be sitting here. Shimmer, we have no idea. Shimmer looked out of the window. It showed a crescent of the planet below, and while they were looking, they saw the prismatic flash of a flash warp drive activating far in the distance.
How often has this happened?
That's classified.
Even though right now we're discussing something secret not to be shared?
Classified is 2 levels higher. Shimmer leaned forward.
Please, give me a hint. Is it 10? 100? 1,000?
This is all I will say. You explained to Polly, the girl at the front desk, what happened, and she immediately pushed a button summoning me. She wasn't disbelieving, and she didn't think you were making something up. What does that tell you? Shimmer reeled at the realization that if they reacted this quickly, and not once accused Shimmer of making things up, or misremembering, that it might have happened quite a lot. Victor looked at Shimmer's expression and nodded. You understand, then?
What are you doing about it?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Shimmer, what can we do? We can't tell all humans to stop messing with flash warp drives. It wouldn't do anything. What if we said, if you mess with a flash warp drive, you might get edited out of reality? Do you think that wouldn't cause some kind of economic crash at least? Everyone would then dump their flash warp drives and buy our flip drives. What would the media feeds say about that? Their organs tightened in sympathetic fear. They understood what Victor was saying. If anyone came forward with this information, everyone would call it fake. A cheap ploy to sell more flip drives. All we can do is record the incidents as they happen and reassure those afflicted that they're not losing their minds. With every incident we collect, we hope to gain more insight and, ideally, prevent more disappearances from happening. You're not mentally ill, you just have a, unique memory. You remember someone who doesn't exist. Victor stood, bending his head with practiced ease to avoid a low-hanging beam. Shimmering heat, I wish you the best. Do take care of your flash warp drive. It's unique. I recommend taking it back to Flash Incorporated and have them examine it. I imagine you'll get a bonus if it's determined to be safe enough to upgrade everyone's drive. Shimmer stood and sputtered.
But who will I say did the upgrade?
Victor's eyes sparkled. Just tell them the truth. A human did it.